Many people have asked me, how do you memorize or how do you study? Well, this video explains it all. Before we dig in, I have two important points to say. The first one is that identifying the right material to study is key for learning, be it a book or a YouTube video or whatever it may be. Identifying the right material for your studying is key for learning. And the second, and to be fair, most important one, is focusing without distracting. This is the most difficult thing to do in the current world, as we all have numerous things that can easily distract us. You all know what I'm talking about, smartphones. It's very tempting for all of us to see what that notification is. But if you get distracted and picked up the phone and click the notification, you will lose the momentum of learning. And when you get back to learning, it would take a while for you to regain your momentum. So try your best to focus without distracting. It's really, really difficult, but you can do it. And also, based on my experiences, I've come up with these 8 memory tricks to learn efficiently and faster. Number 1, glancing through and identifying key points. The first time you're looking at the material you want to learn, just read through it. If possible, try to understand what is presented to you, but don't try to memorize anything into your brain just yet. Do pay attention to the introduction and to the summary, because these are the key main parts. Focus on the necessary information, leaving out the unnecessary stuff. Try to identify the main point in the subject you are studying. Try to find out what the lesson is conveying to you. In fact, take a pencil or pen and actually underline the main points. This will save you a lot of time when you read next time, because you're going to leave out all the unnecessary parts of the material that you are studying, and you'll focus on the ones that really matter. Number 2, identifying the pattern or logic. Just try to know the concept behind it, the logic, if you can find one. In some of the learning material, if you look carefully, you can actually observe a pattern. Like, if this happens, then this is the consequence. Or if that happens, then the vice versa will happen. And if you can identify those kinds of patterns, then you are done with the major part of the memorization process. Sometimes you may have to remember terms, and yeah, it's fine to memorize those, but coming to the whole topic, it's better to understand the subject logically. Number 3, put it in your own words. Rewrite the necessary parts of the topic you are learning in your own words. And when you do this, your brain would have to first understand the subject and then analyze it to come up with its own sentences. And plus, your brain generally has better chances of remembering your own writing rather than others' writing. This may take some time to do, but that time is really, really well spent, because it solidifies what you have just summarized, and it puts it in your own words. Number 4, express it out. Try reading it out loud, and if it is possible, explain it to your friend or your brother or your sister or someone. Anyone works. Some terms, like for example, math tables or biological terms or medical terms, you may have to repeatedly say it out or write it down in order to remember. And you know, we can't actually do anything about them because that's just how they are. But guess what? Early mornings are the best time for saying these out. And for some people, group study also works. You can try to explain it to your friends or to your juniors, and that also works. Anything works. Try to say it out loud, explain it. Number 5, the spacing effect. During the learning process, take enough breaks so that your brain isn't overwhelmed with lots of information. Just make sure it's the right amount. So, after intense studying for about 60 to 90 minutes, maybe do something that is totally different for about 15 to 20 minutes, like play a sport or watch a video that you really enjoy and just distract totally from studying. This is called the spacing effect. Got its own name, and this will help your learning process to be very effective indeed. You may think you'd be wasting time for that time you're not spending doing your actual studying, but in fact, in the time you are just doing this, your brain is making nerve connections to solidify what you have learned. So now you know how important it is to take this vital break. Now, some people will study continuously for 4 to 5 hours, then take a nap for 1 hour, and then get back to studying. This also works. As long as you're taking a break somewhere, it works. Number 6, alternating. Switching between different subjects when you continuously study for a long time is very important. Simply, you'll study one subject for a while, and then later you'll switch to a different subject. Then, after a little more time, you'll switch back over to the first subject and repeat. When you're studying the same subject for a long time in the day, the brain will become too tired after an hour or so and will need you to do something else or study another subject. And if you have to study multiple subjects, it would be a great idea to include different subjects in between them. Like, let's say you have a lot of math to study, but you also have some other different fields that you want to study. So, first, you'll study math for the first hour, and then take a short break with the spacing effect, and then go for something else, say history. And then, after another hour, go back to math. Then, after an hour again, you'll learn science or English. And then, after another hour, you will go back to math and just repeat. It may appear that alternating subjects is not effective, but it is actually really, really, really effective. Because you are basically stimulating your brain by alternating the subjects you study. This is the reason why we have different subjects covered in school every day instead of continuously having one subject per day. Say, math all Monday, history all Tuesday, science all Wednesday, and so on. The reason why we don't have that is because it's better to learn something new in various subjects throughout the day rather than just one subject the entire time. Now, let's move on to the 7th trick, mnemonics. If we come across something that is very, very hard to remember, then mnemonics can help you, or mnemonics. These mnemonics are also called as memory aids because they aid your memory. These mnemonics actually simplify the complex material that you'll have to remember, and sometimes gives you clues that you've already heard of before. An example would be Roy G. Biv for the sequence of colors in the light spectrum. Roy G. Biv stands for red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Some people also follow VibGR in the reverse order. And finally, number 8, self-testing. After you have put in a lot of effort implementing all of these different tips to learn, it would be nice if you could self-test. Doing this can identify the weaker areas in the subject that you've learned and will give you a chance to refocus on those weaker areas. It's kind of like playing in qualifier matches before the World Cup or the Olympics. Self-testing will ascertain you that you are a pro and that you are ready for the real test. Say, in the case of qualifier matches, these ascertain the players that they are pros and that they are ready for the real competition. And if you follow these 8 memory tricks, I'm very confident that you will effectively learn things efficiently and faster. Thanks so much for watching. Love you, Akash. So in this video, we're going to see what is short-term memory and what is long-term memory, and show how you can improve both of these memories. First of all, I'm just going to say this right away. We all have a limited brain capacity. For sure, we can't just memorize absolutely everything we see for an infinite period of time. Just like our laptop computer or smartphone, our brain has a certain capacity for memory. When we are kids, our brain can take in lots and lots of memory. But as we age, the memory capacity decreases. It's sad, but it's true. Our brain erases the facts that we don't need and keeps only the things that we want to. Some of that memory goes for short term and some for long term. We see and come across lots of things every day, but we don't remember all of those things, like what dress we wore yesterday or what food we ate last night, etc., etc. All of these things, if they're not major incidents, will be remembered for a short time. And then our brain is just going to delete them. And this is called short-term memory. But some of the more important incidents, like your birthday, or the fact that the sun rises in the east, or your favorite things to do, or your favorite food to eat, or that Independence Day is July 4th, or August 15th, or whenever your national day is, those types of information will be remembered forever. And this is what we call long-term memory. Now, coming to learning, usually the human brain can retain only up to 1/3 of what we learn by the next day. So, how can we remember everything, like 100% of everything that we learn? Sadly though, there is no way to remember absolutely everything that we learn or come across. But we can maximize to remember what we have learned if we follow these simple techniques. Let's start with the effective ways to improve short-term memory. First of all, short-term memory is needed to remember things quickly, or if you don't have much time. Let's say you have an examination in a couple of days and you need to remember a lot of information in a very short time. The funny thing is, that is what most people do. They start cramming of all the year's syllabus just before the exams. This is not recommended at all, but if that is the case, then try this method called 5 times repetition. This is the best way to remember things quickly, and it really works. Here's how it goes. First, I'll go through all of the information that I need to learn and then repeat it immediately. Now, I finished going through that information 2 times. I will then take like a 30-minute break and then go through one more time. And now we have 3 times done. And then after 6 to 8 hours, I will again go over that material one more time. That's 4 times. And now for the 5th and last time, I'm gonna study that information exactly 24 hours after I first studied that subject. And now I have completed studying this for 5 times. And now I have this info kept in my short-term memory in my brain. And I am now ready for the test or examination. And I have named this as the 5 times technique. Our brain is going to get familiarized when you study the information for the first 2 times. And then after that, our brain will make that nerve connections to keep the information in the short-term memory for us to reproduce when it is needed in the next couple of days. And also, when you memorize using this 5 times repetition technique, you can study and memorize the other subjects in the gaps using the same 5 times technique. So like you start with math first time and then second time, and then during the 20 to 30-minute break between the second time and the third time, you can do another one, like let's say English, and do that one, and then keep going like that for each subject. Now, let's take a look at ways to improve long-term memory. Now, to remember things for a long time, you need to extend the process of learning. So, that's why you should at least study the information 6 times, and I call this method as 6 times repetition. And to be frank, I think that this is the best way for studying and learning any subject. First, I would go through all of the information that I need to remember and then just get it into my brain. And that's first time. And then, as soon as I finish the first time, I repeat it one more time immediately. This is very similar to the 5 times repetition. And now I have finished going through the material for 2 times. Then I would once again go through that information for 20 to 30 minutes one more time. And that is 3 times done. Next, I will come back to this material again after a full day for the 4th time repetition. And next, I would give it 2 to 3 more weeks before I come back to look at it for the 5th time. And finally, for one more time, the 6th time, after roughly 2 to 3 months, I will come back and look at that material and study it. Now, as you have revisited the same information multiple times in the span of a few months, the brain thinks that this is some important and necessary information and that would not get erased and therefore would be moved to long-term memory. And this is the best way to remember things for a long time. And we call this as 6 times repetition method for long-term memory. And this is the method that I use to remember the words when I prepare for the spelling bees. Thank you so much, friends, for watching this video. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends and family. How much screen time is good for your child? 1 hour, 2 hours, all day, or no screen time? In today's world, there's no life without screens. For anyone, including little kids. Whether we all accept it or not, smart devices like smartphones, iPads, or computers are inevitable. However, parents can have control over them in order to give the best possible screen time and, more importantly, the safest possible experience for their kids. Now, for most parts, schooling has become online, for which we'll be using screens like computers or other devices. And the COVID-19 pandemic has forced most of us towards the screens for more things than ever before. Then comes social media like TikTok and online games. If we get a few minutes of free time in school or at home, naturally we are inclined to go on to the mobile devices. So coming to limiting this screen time is going to be very challenging, especially when it comes to school-going children. I would very much like to emphasize for parents that no screen time is not an option here. Because if you take away anything from a person, that person will always think about that one thing and they will want to get it, the thing that they are deprived of, at any cost. Also, there's a thing called peer pressure. And in this case, we're talking about, say, if one kid observes that other kids are playing on their screens and not allowed to do the same by his parents, then that would not be a good thing at all. So no screen time will backfire and is for sure not the best option. So what I'm saying is we have to give children screen time, but now comes the question, how much time and when? Now, parents must talk to their children about the rules of screen time, like when and how much screen time they'll be given. But screen time should be linked to tasks or incentives. After coming back from school, or once the child completes his or her homework, after accomplishing a certain task like helping mom in the kitchen, etc., etc. For example, after coming back from school, you'll be given 30 minutes of screen time, and then if you complete the homework, if you study for 2 hours again, and then another 45 minutes, so on, like that. Or after completing the exams, 2 hours to a max of 3. But all of this should be controlled 100% by parents. Children should probably not be given a free hand to do whatever they want whenever they want, as they may access things that just aren't appropriate for them. Parents also should talk about what programs they should watch on services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney, or Hotstar. Parents should explain their kids about the viewer discretion advisories for TV, movies, or games. For TV, there's Y, Y7, G, PG, and MA. For movies, you have G, PG, PG-13, and R. And for games, it's E, E10+, T, and M. This age discretion has to be strictly followed, as it's very important for the safety of the child and just to make sure that they have a safe viewing experience. And then we come to child-safe devices with passwords set up for every app. Now, be it Android or Apple devices, parents have to set up passwords for the apps that they've installed on their phones or devices. Either it can be a literal password or a fingerprint. In the latest devices, we have face recognition that will do the job. With this password setup, the child can't go to the apps that you don't allow. Now, in advanced countries like here in the US, things can be totally controlled by parents. Like my phone and my sister's phone are connected to my parents' phones, and only the contacts that are approved by my parents can call or text us. And a weekly report will be sent to my parents' phones every Monday morning. So this system is obviously very safe and very secure. Now, the reasoning behind all of this is because being online can sometimes become very dangerous. There are predators who can steal money, or even much more bad things can happen. So that's the reason why parents should have total control over the child's online screen time. And plus, eyesight is another thing to worry about. Staring at a screen for a long time will cause both eyesight problems and the dry eye conditions. So overall, on an average day, kids should not be given more than 2 to 3 hours of playtime on the screens, but But sometimes there can be exceptions. Say if the kids demand more, I'd suggest a few alternatives, like say playing outside like soccer or cricket, or if we have to go for the screens, then games with physical activity. An example being Wii Sports, which is, well, it's literally a game about sports, so there's a lot of physical activity involved. And for the Nintendo Switch, there's games like Ring Fit Adventure, etc., etc. So these are games with physical activity, and this is very important to help get the child's health going well, especially when it comes to exercise. So this is something that I'd recommend. In conclusion, no screen time is definitely not good. It's not the right option. Going balanced is the best option. And don't forget to talk with your kids about it. And that is all about how much screen time to give to your children. Thanks so much for watching. Yes, you can do it. It's all your mindset. There's nothing you can't do. You just need to think. It's a mind game, and believe me, you are more powerful than you think you are, but you just don't know your true potential. Let me tell you a great example about two animals. One of them is very large and almost 20 times larger than the other animal. Yes, I'm talking about the lion and the elephant. Fearless carnivorous predator lions take on the elephant, which is 20 times larger than them. And this is all in the mindset of this lion to take down this elephant. Since it was a baby, the lion grew up seeing all the members of its lion pride taking on all the big animals like the giraffes, buffaloes, hippos, and elephants. So this lion now has the full confidence that it can hunt and kill the huge elephant, which is many times larger than its size, with the help of its pride members. So with this newfound confidence in itself, it attacks the elephant and takes it down. In today's competitive world, we all need this kind of confidence that yes, I can do it. I can reach my goal, no matter how big this goal is. All you need is the positive mindset that you can hit your goal. Now, I am not telling that you won't have struggles in this process. You definitely will, but if you have a strong determination and work hard from your heart, you would overcome these problems with ease, and that way you can reach your goal. So, friends, here is my message for you. Dream big. Set up a good goal to help you achieve some cool things that are beneficial to you, to your family, to your neighborhood, to your country, and the world at large. You are powerful, and you have more potential than you could ever think you have. Yes, you can do it. Lay a roadmap for how you're going to achieve your goal. If possible, divide your final goal into several small goals. Have a step-by-step plan and work hard towards your final goal. Don't give up. Unleash your potential. Give a tough fight, and most importantly, believe in yourself. And you will realize that all your dreams will come true. Love you, Akash.